taking an early morning walk, actually right next to Arthur's Seat, in week 0, the week before the Edinburgh Fringe starts. And I've just arrived, having been at Durham Fringe this year for the first time, taking a solo show there. And one of the things that happened, I suppose you often hope this will happen, at the end of one of the performances was someone stay behind and wanted to ask questions about the show, find out more, possibility of doing it at their festival, their Fringe festival, their venue. And actually I noticed in my wallet I'd brought some business cards with me that I've never had any printed for years, but I found a box with quite a lot of them left. So I brought a wad of them, that was in my wallet, and I was able to just hand out the card that had the classic mobile phone, email address, but perhaps most helpfully the website of my show. And that particular person was glad to take a card. Actually had a card for me in this particular case as well. Now I think in a lot of cases we've gone beyond the world of business cards, but I just want to encourage you here at the start of the Edinburgh Fringe, if you're up here with the show and you've got the same hope that there's going to be interest in your work, is that you're ready with your virtual business card. And I noticed it really beginning to happen last year, after quite a few years before, where the QR code was seen as on the way out as a bit of a gimmick, but now it's turned into a really important gateway on posters, flyers, to finding out more, to booking a ticket. And I would just suggest, if you haven't done, you can make them very easily for free online. Though check out those websites, they're not going to try and steal your data, so just have them checked for an independent report, and you can simply put into Google how safe is this website that's offering to create a QR code, or you might want to pay for a service. But very quickly you can have a phone screen sized QR code or fit it into a page, show them the phone and say, would you like my QR code, which opens to the same sort of information and perhaps a lot more around your show. Some screenshots of some photos of your show, downloadable high-res images, but best of all perhaps just the information that they need. And I noticed some people have got several QR codes, so if it's an arts industry professional wanting to know about taking the show forward, the QR code takes them very specifically to the show details, the show webpage. In other cases, if it's coming across that person kind of just wants to connect with you, the QR code might take them to your link tree, which, if you haven't ever known about that before, is just a way of having a very simple page with all the key links in one place, including your social media connections and so on. Basically whatever information you're ready to give, I'd suggest you have one kind of overall gateway QR code to your website and the details about your company, but you also are ready with other QR codes that will be more focused specifically in what they're interested in. Anyway, that's the alternative to the paper business card, and I think some of you have already done that, but quite a lot of people haven't thought about it, and it's just one more thing to do. But I think it's really important at the start of the Fringe you have preview nights, whether you're coming in week 2 or 3, and you get that conversation where someone comes up to you and says, have you got a card? How do I find out more? And that's the QR code. But I'd also be ready with other stuff too. I see people fumbling with their email addresses, trying to find it on their phone, and just as easily record a screenshot or create a little JPEG or an image that just has got your mobile phone on it, and you can literally just show it and they can type it straight in. There are other ways of doing this, tapping between phones and so on, but do whatever suits you, but be ready for quick fire conversations at any time, but particularly after your show, where someone waits behind, you see them just outside your venue and they're asking you more, and make it as quick and easy as possible to exchange whatever details need to be exchanged to improve the chances of further conversations happening. I'd say more than ever now in the industry, QR codes are back on the rise, and the default ought to be that you're ready with a simple QR code. If anybody doesn't know what it is, it looks like a kind of weird pattern, but it can be recognized by someone that has a QR code scanner, and most people do on their phones, and it'll open up, for example, a web page. Now, the specifics also around that will relate to the intention. So I encourage you to think about your main intention. Some people just come to Edinburgh to do their show. They haven't really thought about future journeys. They're not sure if they want bookings in September, October, or for a season from January. But I would guess most people do. So it's also having very, very clear in your head what it is that you're hoping is going to happen straight after your show. And I notice some people haven't thought about that, they just kind of head off. But be aware that if your show has really hit somebody hard in a good way, and they're thinking, because they're an arts industry professional, it might be a reviewer actually, they quite sometimes stay behind because they want to chat more about your show, and they might well have connections. Is to simply think now about what's the intention, what's going to happen if somebody waits behind. And waiting behind can also be kind of symbolically done, not just physically but virtually. So it may well be that somebody has got access through the Ed Fringe website to your press release, has got some basic contact details already, and be ready for that email to arrive within an hour or two, certainly within 24 hours. What's your reply going to be? And particularly if you're busy, you don't really want to be just sitting there making these up, particularly if you get a lot of contacts. So just be ready with, you can edit it, but a standard email reply that's just basically got, these are my contact details, this is when I'm going to be available to chat, here's more of my resume, here's more details of our website, our link tree, and so on. So a little strategy, you don't need to overthink it, but a bit like I was just ready to whip out a business card, perhaps you should be ready with whatever communications you need so that you can respond quickly, whether that's directly outside your venue or a little bit later as a follow-up online. It shouldn't feel like climbing a hill every time you do something like this. It should feel easy, and you should be positive, I guess, that that's going to happen to you, and that's why you're here. And if that's why you're here, then make the most of your Fringe by being ready for everything from a business card physically to a business card virtually.